Hey guys, it's Tony with Wood Tramp Outdoors. For those of you that have asked about forming a leather sheath, that's what this is about today, so hang tight, I'll be right back. Alright guys, a couple months ago I think that I told you that the Shemanese from Caudill Nature Reliance had arrived, but I didn't want to carry it because the sheath wasn't formed. The way it starts out is that you fill the sheath with scalding hot water, tape the blade of the knife, you'll see that here in a minute, and then you use various clamps and whatever it takes. It might be a couple paint sticks, it might be rags like I used here, but you want to be able to form it without damaging the sheath if at all possible. So I haven't even looked at this. I filled it yesterday and it's been drying all day, or all night rather. So that's one rag there. I used rags versus sticks because I didn't want to damage this too much if I could help it. Looks like everything's good here. And I use these screw clamps. These are Jorgensen clamps. I use those for everything, but with those you can make it a cantilever and you can make different angles. And they're pretty easy to control. So, as you can see, the knife has been formed here. Pull it out, and when you first do it, it's going to be tough to get out. Alright, there's the blade that has the tape on it. You tape it so it doesn't rust, and you got to be careful when you do this so you don't cut your fingers. Check to see if any water migrated through the tape, looking for little signs of rust inclusions, and there are none at all. The sheath has been formed really well to this knife, right? Just got to help it get back in there correctly. And you see that, how that seats? That is not coming out. I couldn't do that before. Yeah. This right here and this right here is what is holding that in place, so you can turn upside down and the knife is not going to come out very easily. Now that'll loosen up as you go, obviously. Okay, so now the next step is to treat the leather, because the leather has just been put through some pretty ugly trauma with all that hot water being put in there. So we want to treat the leather, and what we use here is bush butter. You've been hearing me for years talk about this. This is what we manufacture. This happens to look a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. You're used to seeing these linen bags, but we had so many people request that we put these in tins so they'd be easier to carry. And in this bag, this linen bag, over time it leached through the bag and would get on your gear or whatever. Now that really never bothered me. It helps every piece of gear it touches, but I get it. We heard you. And in this bag we sold these. There was 1.6 ounces of bush butter in here in 2 pads. This is 2.0 ounces that's in here. So you get more, and we didn't raise the price on that either. So what you do is, there's 2 ways that you can do this. You can use your fingers by just going around and around and around, and what happens is you are emulsifying this wax, you are heating it up. Now, I said wax, there is beeswax in here, but there are a total of 5 components, all natural, all organic. Okay? And then once you get that on your fingers, you can just start working it into the leather. we got these little applicators that go in here, and all you got to do is get you a little bit on that applicator. You can go round and round and round, but the thing is that you want to get it impregnated in there. So when you go to put this on, you don't need a lot. Just need a nice coat on there, but you can tell already from here to here the richness that it imparts in there. Leather. I'm just going to do half so you can see what it looks like. I mean, it really does impart, and I do it on the welt as well. This whole sheath will get it. Bush butter is good for a lot of stuff. Not only on leather, all leather, whether it's sheaths, belts, leather bags. But you can put it on canvas as well, wax canvas. By heating this up, you can impregnate it into the wax canvas to revitalize it. And I'll be the first to tell you that it would take a lot to do a bag. It'd probably take you at least 2 tins of this to do it. And you'd have to heat it up, obviously. This does take a little time, but it is well worth the effort, because once you get this on here, then you'll let it set for about an hour or two for the materials in here, the wax and all the other goodness that's in here, the oils, to all congeal again. And it makes a very, very stable and sturdy coating on whatever you put it on, you know. We're sending out a, every time you buy bush butter from us, you'll receive a suggested list of things you can do with this. And it's not an exhaustive list, man. We got people that writes us and tells us what they've done. We never thought of it before. But we use it on a lot of our zippers, on our tents, our sleeping bags, on our jackets. You can use it as a fire extender as well. Axe handles, anything wood, garden tool, garden implement handles, anything steel that you're wanting to protect, like shovels, your axes, obviously your blades. I'll show you that here in a second, as soon as I get this all done. A lot of guys fail to understand the importance of the welt being treated. I've seen guys just overlook that, you know. You really don't want to. Then we got the back side of this almost suede leather that's on the sheath that isn't treated, where it's been put over or bent over and attached. I make sure that I really get that saturated. Good for firearms. Not only your barrels and your stocks, but whatever might be challenged with friction, you know, steel upon steel components. There you go. That's looking good there. I've been asked how long this will last, and you know, it depends on how much you use it, just like anything else. You know, if this is your main EDC knife and it goes out in the woods with you every day, then you might have to do it a little more frequently. I mean, know your equipment, take a look at it. What's it telling you? Does it look thirsty? Then give it a drink of bush butter. You can use it at home, drawer slides, on furniture, leather furniture. You can treat leather furniture with this as well. Hinges, they're squeaky. Alright, we're getting close to having this complete here. Just keep putting your fingers in there. It's good for bug bites. Help to treat scratches. It's all natural, all organic. Sunburn. I mean, it's just so many uses of this. Look at that, how rich that looks. Now, again, like I said, it's important that we let it dry. Okay. Now here's something else I do. See the inside of that? Put it right here in this mouth. Where the knife comes into contact with it. And there are times that I'll melt it. Just kind of heat it to allow it to drip down right in the mouth of that. You got to be careful when you do so you don't burn yourself. Just hold the tin and your Bic lighter. I guess I could try to show you here what I'm talking about, but you got to get it to stand up. Doesn't want to at this point. Here, this is what we do right here. Okay, so you can see that, and I've got a big ladder over here somewhere. Yep, here he is. Just take your lighter and let it melt down a little bit. There, see it dripping in there? Let it go down the whole thing. All right. Then I just let it dry like that. Right at the mouth. Still a little bit hot. Now we're going to let that dry. This out of the way, get this out of the way. Now the blade. And that's something else that I will tell you. If you feel like it's not malleable enough for you as you heat it up with your fingers, you can always stick a lighter on it. You saw how easy it melts. Then I just take this blade and you don't need a lot. All you're wanting to do is put a coating on there. I had Craig Caudill on the phone last week, and actually yesterday also. I put it on the micarta scales also. I'll tell you about this Shemanese, about these scales here. The LT Wright is actually the one that builds the knife for Craig Caudill. Him and Craig got together on this. He builds the knife, and you won't find a better knife builder than Mr. LT Wright. He's one of our top 5 knife builders that we've ever dealt with. It's a short list that we would say, yeah, these guys are the real deal. You know, but he's one of them. We have several of their knives. On our shelves. But what I was going to say, the micarta like this, what I should have done is took a little bit of sandpaper to it. I may end up putting some profiles in this micarta here to give me a better grip. But what we're going to do now is we're just going to let this get hard. It takes about an hour or so, maybe even longer if you put too much on it. I don't worry too much about the blade itself, because pulling it in and out of that sheath and then using it, it's going to go away over time. And again, I mean, we put these applicators in here, but I'm not a fan of them. I'd rather use my fingers. This was suggested to us by people that have used it and said, hey, can you put an applicator in there? So this is an applicator, and they do a good job, but I'd much rather have the control of my fingers applying the heat, because I'm a firm believer that with the implements that I use it on, whether it's a knife or it's an axe, wood handles, leather, the heat from your hands not only heats up the product itself, but it also heats up what you're putting it on. Not a lot, but enough for them to come together and kind of marry with each other. The leather accepts the product, the bush butter, the wood accepts it a little bit better, and yeah, all right, so I'm going to be back and to show you what all this looks like once we buff it out. All right, guys, yeah, I'm back here. I told you I was going to show you what it looks like after we start to buff it out, and you're going to see how much different this looks, how rich it looks, even the welt on it. You don't have to do it real hard either. Alright, look at this sheath. See that? Just how rich that looks. And that's 2 coats. You let it dry between coats really well, because it gets hard, and then you buff it out, and it, if you get it hot enough, which you shouldn't have to, but if you press hard or you use a paper towel instead of a soft rag, the heat between transfers from your hands through the paper towel and reaches the surface, and it'll help to melt that micro layer. Then you come back, you put a second one on, maybe a little bit heavier, and you let that dry, and that's what I did. And just come back and you buff it out really light. And again, you could use a paper towel if you want, if you're trying to emulsify it a little bit better. But I mean, even the welt is there. And then the scales This is my Caudill on here, and I told you that I may be doing a little something to these to make them a little more aggressive, to keep them from slipping when I'm processing, game. Because you got fat, you got you got tendons, everything, and mixed with the blood, it can get a little slick. Okay, so I buff this out, and I really like the looks of this knife. This is one of the most beautiful knives I've seen in a long time. And not only is it beautiful, you get museum pieces that you can't ever use out in the bush. We've had some of those. But this is a museum piece that you want to use. But look at that, how rich that looks after it's buffed out. Now you see the bush butter that's on here. I'm not going to buff this out. I want that to stay on there to protect the knife. And when you use it, it's going to come off when you use it. Alright, and I stick it back in the sheath, like so. And it'll snap right down in there. Did you hear that? Comes out, snaps. And it's not going to come out. So that's how you form any leather sheath, but I've been waiting, and you are going to have some inclusions from whatever you happen to use. I use screw clamps for this with some rags. It's going to be used. So that's it. Thanks for asking. And Craig, again, you did a great job. Appreciate it. So until next time,